This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host. I'm your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 11 p.m. Eastern until 3 a.m. Eastern right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and a family of growing affiliates right around this great big world of ours. On Radio X, TalkStream Live, as well as many satellite programming providers. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, studio@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Now, before I get to my first guest tonight, who is a good friend of the X-Zone, who is going to be joining me to talk about Halloween, just a simple question for you guys. Now, I know you know. Oh, I can just hear you saying, oh, he's going to ask us about UFO history. You're right. How would you guys like to be part of UFO history? Now, if you think I'm kidding, if you'd like to accept the challenge, just go to www.cubesatfordisclosure.com. That's cubesatfordisclosure.com. That's all I'm going to say, X-Zone. You go there, make up your own minds. My guest this hour is LINNEA Starr, and LINNEA has displayed an amazing metaphysical understanding of the universe ever since she was just a wee little star. When LINNEA was a little girl, her grandmother remarried. On the day of the wedding, LINNEA was upstairs in her grandmother's new home. Several pictures and portraits hung on the wall. A woman appeared and told LINNEA that she was the mother in one of the pictures. She further explained that her name was Mary, and that she died before LINNEA was born. Mary also stated her spine was healed. Mary wanted everyone to know that she knew her children now and had a mother on earth. This is just one of the many things, X-Zone Nation, that makes LINNEA so special. So first of all, LINNEA, welcome back to the X-Zone. It's always great talking to you, but it's Halloween season.
Thank you. Yes, it is an exciting metaphysical time. The next, week, especially Halloween week, and I'm really thrilled to be able to share some of the legends that, are connected to the Halloween realm.
What is the origin of Halloween?
Yes, it comes back many, many centuries ago. It's a combination of the Celtic, Catholic, and Roman rituals, and the belief being that Halloween 12th, October 31st, opens the portal of the metaphysical universe to let the soul spirits mingle between the time of October 31st, November 1st, which is All Saints' Day, and November 2nd, which is All Souls' Day. So that 3-day cadre allows spirits to come back to you and communicate in even more of a depth kind of perception, so you can really make a connection with your loved ones.
Do you think Halloween has become too commercialized?
A lot of people have said that because you kind of miss the real meaning, and the real meaning was that the souls of the departed want to come back and join with us. And, you know, in Central America and South America and in Mexico, that whole 3-day period is called the Day of the Dead. And they go to the cemeteries, they dress up, they cook food, they sit at the graves, and they kind of speak to their dead, and they try to help them on their spiritual journey. That seems to have more of a ritualistic situation. But, you know, the kids dress up, they hear spooky stories, but I'm going to say it's a reenactment of the original meaning, which was centuries ago.
LINNEA, you and I have to take our first break. Please stand by. Always great having you here in the X Zone. Sure. X Zone Nation, if you'd like to find out more about LINNEA, her website is www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. And LINNEA and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue talking about Halloween right here this first hour of tonight's edition of the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, heard around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network. And if you'd like to check us out online on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, send an email to studio@xzoneradiotv, and our radio website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. LINNEA Starr and I are back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience Journey Trance, Power Animals, Helping Spirits, Sacred Space, and Life Purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
Exonation LINNEA Star is my special guest. We're talking about Halloween this first hour of tonight's show. And LINNEA, you know, you're a very spiritual person. You're a very intuitive person. You know, you're able to communicate between both sides of the veil. What does Halloween mean to you personally?
Yes, thank you. That's a really great observation. I feel that even though it is, you know, from the Druids and the other groups I mentioned, it has a connection to the Wiccan religion also, which is a very beautiful earthbound religion. And a Wicca is someone who's very wise. So oftentimes there were older women in the towns that did herbal healings, and they did, you know, different medical things to help the community. And so a lot of the Wiccan beliefs are based on healing, hands-on healing, and with the earth. My take on it is, because I'm a little more to the left of the Wiccan group, not that they don't have wonderful validity, but I feel that the soul is trying to return to you especially during that 3-day period of time, October 31st through November 2nd. And I think it's just conducive in the atmosphere, in the universe, to let them make an even stronger connection to people that are really trying to get a handle on having their loved ones come back and give them a definite message.
What, in your opinion, is the biggest misnomer about Halloween, or the biggest bit of misinformation that the public is receiving about Halloween?
Thank you. That's another good observation. I'm going to say that there's a lot of superstitions that people either don't understand, or they're not able to separate reality from the superstition. You know, a lot of people have associated anything with Halloween to be not of a good vibration or something that is, you know, on the dark side, and it's completely the opposite of that. Anyone who knows anyone who's a Wiccan, they're always trying to help. They're trying to promote, you know, healing, and they're very devoted to the Mother Earth. So I'm going to say, if people could set aside their preconceived notions and just look upon it as a celebration of ancient rituals, I think everybody would have a better vibration if they would just embrace it in a more positive manner. No misconceptions involved. You know what I mean?
Sure. I know what you mean, and I fully agree with you. In fact, I was talking to somebody the other day about the lies and misconceptions of our educational system today. And they said, well, come on, Rob, you know, the educational system doesn't lie to kids. And I said, this is the easiest way I can prove to you that they do. Who discovered America? Oh, Christopher Columbus. Wrong. What do you mean wrong? You know, Christopher Columbus, 1492. What about the Vikings who were here way before Christopher Columbus? So if they lie just to maintain the status quo, even though things have changed and there's been new discoveries, it's manipulation in its highest degree.
You're right, and I think that and I'm very ecumenical because I think we all need to be, and I think we can learn from each other's foundation of faith. It might not be exactly what I'm holding on to or what you're holding on to, but everyone has their own individual concept of the afterlife and their religion, and I think if we learn from each other, it's like a kaleidoscope. There isn't just one way. There's a multitude of ways, but if we are open and we have that positive energy, we can learn from each other and not persecute anybody or alienate them because they don't actually believe in our foundation of faith.
Do you think faith plays too big a part in today's societies, that we're just nitpicking at everybody else's religious philosophy if it isn't ours, instead of just saying, you know what, we're all human. Let's just learn to get along with each other. I'll respect you, you respect me.
No, I agree, and I think, too, that every person, man, woman, or child, really needs to hold on to something, because sometimes life throws us a curveball. And life is so beautiful. There are so many wonderful things there, but then there's a rough patch. There's an illness or a death or something that's very difficult to handle. And I think if you have a faith that's rooted within your life, you can hold on to that and ask a higher power to negotiate you through the rough times.
Why is there so much mystery and mysticism around witches? And I think witches have been getting a bum rap for as long as I can remember. You know, the hat, the cat, the kettle, the gingerbread house, the little old right. You know, like this is really sensationalistic.
Well, if you look back at the Salem witch trials of the 1400s, I think what a lot had happened was that some of these women were mysterious. Some of them were not your normal contributing members of society. They were, you know, a little bit of a reclusive kind of person. Some of them weren't married. Some of them kept to themselves. And because they were on the outskirts of the regular community, a lot of people took offense at that, and they were bullied. And a lot of the things that were said about them were absolutely not true. And I think from the Salem witch trial, that myth has been perpetuated, you know, up until our point in time. And it is completely without basis. These were women that knew herbology.
Sure.
They knew what to eat.
Yep.
They knew how to cure animals. And I think sometimes people went after them because they didn't understand how they had that knowledge or that talent.
You know, if it wasn't for, you know, for witchcraft to a certain degree, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have had pharmaceutical companies, because it was the witches who were the first pharmacists, basically.
Practitioners, right.
Yeah, right, and then they...
Yes.
Go on, I'm sorry, dear.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're right. They kind of figured out what herbs and what plants would be most helpful, and they knew how to dull pain. They knew how to do childbirth and help the woman get better. They knew how to treat wounds. And I think because they weren't doctors, people were afraid of this, because how did they get that knowledge? They were just inquisitive and intuitive, and I think it gave them a bad reputation. So you're absolutely right. That's preconceived, and they shouldn't do that anymore.
You know, it's funny because they received a bad reputation way back then, but today they're revered.
Yes, and pagans also. Pagans are people that kind of, you know, follow the plants and the earth and Mother Earth. And so these two groups, Wiccans and pagans, are more earth-bound foundations of faith, whereas, you know, a Christian, a Jewish person, a Hindu person is more based to the astral connections of heaven and what comes afterwards. But everyone has a validity to what they believe, and we can all learn the best of the brightest. And I think if we had that atmosphere, so much of the wars that go on because certain religions feel we should adhere to theirs, I think that might be eliminated, and it should be.
We can always learn from each other. Life is a learning experience.
Absolutely.
We start to learn from the moment we're conceived until the time we pass on to the next reality or the next realm. What is the mystery surrounding the spells at Halloween?
Oh, you mean casting a spell?
Yeah, you know, casting a negative spell or casting a spell so someone will fall in love with you. You know, both sides of the coin. Yeah.
There are some gypsy practitioners, and that's the Romany group. They kind of went through Europe, and they were very mysterious people too. And they would be able to try to make something happen. So you would make up a spell for a marriage, or you'd make up a spell for a healing. And there is a very old spell that I have been reading about recently, and it's the spell to get rid of something that's bothering you. What you're supposed to do is to write down the subject matter. Let's say that it's, you know, an enemy, or there's something that you're not happy with. Well, you write it down, and then you burn it. You burn it, and you take the ashes, and you put it in a bottle. You seal the bottle, and you go down to the ocean or a lake, and you throw the bottle into the water, and you cast off the negativity, and you ask the universe to purify you and to let you be free of that, and you go on with the rest of your life, and hopefully that spell has worked for you. So that's kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that is. I would imagine it's just like...
A fun spell.
I imagine it would just be like writing that letter that you want to send to somebody who's really upsetting you, and after you write the letter, you just tear it up and you just feel better.
Right, and supposedly the ocean or the lake takes that out to midst of the middle of the water, and you're purified and cleansed of whatever was bothering you, and it's called cast-off spell. So I know a lot of people that have used it, and I've known some people that have had some success. And that's, a mild spell. There are some that are not that happy that I would avoid. But also, too, when someone gets married, you can come into the house with sage, light white candles, and you put a spell of happiness, and you put a spell of fortunate events for the family. So there's a lot of different ways to perpetuate good vibrations around people in different stages of their lives.
What is the connection between Halloween and black cats? Like, I love cats. I've had black cats. They are so affectionate. Well, a cat is affectionate whether it's white, blue, pink, green, yellow. It's how you treat the animal, that the animal treats you. But come Halloween, we see all these pictures of black cats with the arched back. In fact, humane societies will not let any person adopt a black cat the week before Halloween.
I've heard that, and the other thing is that in ancient Egypt, and you're probably cognizant of that too, in ancient Egypt, cats were worshipped as gods or goddesses, and the black cat especially seemed to be the most popular, and also Siamese cats. And for some reason, people felt that the cat had a spiritual connection to the afterlife, and many times when a high-ranking official in Egypt would be mummified, they would have their cats too, and they were put in the tomb with them. And actually, in England, white cats are bad luck.
Really?
White cats are not bad luck here in the United States, but in England, a white cat is supposed to be a bad luck charm, whereas over here, people consider a black cat to have, a bad omen. And I disagree. Any animal, any cat is very loving and positive, so I really think people should try to disassociate the bad rap that's given to black cats.
Another creature that is very noticeable at Halloween are bats and spiders. Like, what's the connection? Is it just for effect, or is the connection between a bat that apparently Count Dracula turned into a bat and flew all over the place?
Right. Well, I'm going to say, too, that bats are also mysterious. They hide in caves. We don't really see them that often. You see them at night. So I'm going to say they fly. How many animals do we really know that it's a mammal? A bat is a mammal. And they have that antenna straight out. They can see things in the dark that we can't see. So I'm going to say I think the association with Dracula and, vampires and things like that, I think the poor bat also got a bad rap like the black cat did. I know. People automatically assume that both of them are, putting us in dire consequences, when I think that, it's just the season. I think that's the reason for that season. I think you're right. I think that's why.
Exactly. And as we know now, if it wasn't for bats, our mosquito population would be totally out of control, because the main substance for food for bats is mosquitoes.
Right.
Listen, Linnea, we've got to take a break. We'll be back shortly. X-Zone Nation, LINNEA Star is our special guest. www.linneastar.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, if you'd like to be part of UFO history, all you have to do is go to www.cubesatfordisclosure.com. And that's www.cubesatfordisclosure.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break with LINNEA Star, so whatever you do, don't go away.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge, breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back to the X Zone. LINNEA Star is our special guest, www.linneastar.com. LINNEA, what is the connection between Halloween and pumpkins? Is it just that pumpkins were harvested at the same time as Halloween, and this is where the connection came? Or is it deeper and more mysterious than that?
Well, I had just read an article on Ireland, and part of the reason they use pumpkins is when the Irish, Celtic background people emigrated after the potato famine and things like that. Potatoes were very hard to carve, but pumpkins were easier. So instead of carving a potato, which, potatoes are a harder core, a lot of Celtic people used pumpkins, and they decorated them with the candles to open up the atmosphere for Halloween. So that's part of why pumpkins is such a big, big connection, because of the Celtic background from Ireland. So I found that interesting because I didn't realize that myself until I had read an article recently about where pumpkins originated for the celebration. And, they're bright. They're a fall color. They grow and they develop and they mature in the fall, So I think it kind of caught on in the popularity aspect of it. So harvest, the solstice, the fall solstice, I think it all plays into the color, and the reason for the season is to decorate with pumpkins, which is really kind of an ongoing tradition, especially in your country, I believe, and also in mine.
It's funny because I don't think there are many people listening who really knew that there was such a Celtic inspiration and connection to Halloween.
Right, Celtic, Roman, and I believe the Druids were also involved. So it was a special time of the year when all groups seemed to feel there was an opening from the mystical side. And if you look at a lot of religions, if you look at a lot of the faiths that are out there ecumenically, many of the same dogma seem to perpetuate a lot of the same connections. There's a Christmas celebration. As you know, we, as a Christian, you welcome Christ.
Yes.
Kwanzaa, which is also that beautiful African connection, and then the beautiful, beautiful Hanukkah one. And they all seem to emanate right around the same time of the year. And so you're all celebrating a very beautiful religious connection, even though we have a different foundation, but it seems that the lunar year seems to connect all of us in a very positive way.
Well, there are a lot of pagan traditions in Christmas, for example, the Christmas tree, the Yule log. So it seems that there are certain times of the year when all the religions can agree on certain things, and then in other parts of the year, well, it goes to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
Right. What about candles? Like I know candles light the way, and I know that there is a difference between the different colored candles and their significance. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, I can. I actually use candles in a lot of the work that I do. And the reason I use them is there is something from Egypt that I learned in England several years ago. It's called ceroscopy, Ceroscopy, ceroscopy. And the color of the candle is very indicative of what you are trying to connect to. I often use white ones. And white is a unity color. You find that in a lot of churches.
Right.
You'll see a lot of white candles at a wedding, at a christening, and at funerals, too. I use blue ones because blue also is the color of heaven. Anything with a blue divination is also the color of the heavenly host. And I use red quite a bit because red is the symbol of life, the fire of life. And what happens is you burn these candles when I'm doing my work, and you pour them into a bowl of cold water, and you get an image. Some people get, hearts, some people get flowers, some people get initials, and it's called ceroscopy. It's a form of divination. Black candles would be for anything that might be of a somber occasion. If there's some unhappiness, somebody might burn a black candle.
Right.
You also might use a green candle for financial gain. Somebody might burn a green candle and say, my business, I would wish it to be successful. So candle power has been around for a long time, and a lot of cultures, use that kind of symbolism when they're doing their rituals.
Exonation, LINNEA Star is my guest this hour, www.linneastar.com. And we're talking about Halloween. And one of the most other popular decorations that you will see at this time of year is a witch on a broomstick. All right, now what is the real meaning of the broomstick, and where does this play in Halloween, LINNEA?
Yes, I don't know. You might have heard this old phrase. It says, a new broom sweeps clean.
Yes, yeah.
And what that means is a new broom. If you move from your apartment to a home, or you move your office to another location, you're supposed to throw the old broom out. The old broom would keep vibrations from your past connection, and you want new vibrations. I take the broom with the witch to mean that she's taking the negative energy out and letting you follow her with positive energy. So a new broom sweeps clean. So I'm going to say it's a superstition, but if you think about it, it seems to make sense. We're leaving an old establishment. We're trying to get into a new vibration. Leave the old broom behind because it has a lot of the vibrations that you don't want to take with you.
Now, I understand a coven, which is a group of witches, number in 12, and there is a warlock supposed to, I understand, who is the leader of the coven, to make the number 13. Is there a significance in the number itself?
Yes, actually, the number 13 has a fortunate connection in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
In Italy, the number 13 is a very fortuitous kind of number. But actually, the number 13 goes back to the fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty. Because what happened was there were 13 fairies that were supposed to come to her party, and they only invited 12. And when the 12 showed up, they each blessed her with a beautiful gift, and the 13th one came in and cursed her and said she would sleep for 100 years. The one fairy had, not said anything, and what she said was, after the 100 years, the kiss of a prince will wake her up. So, and there were 13 disciples at the Last Supper. So the number 13 has gotten a bad connotation because of the connection to the Last Supper and also to the fairy tale with Sleeping Beauty. But in Italy, however, 13 is a fortunate number. So it depends culturally wherever you are. Sometimes something positive, like the white cat over here, will be negative over in England. And the black cat here sometimes has a negativity, but in England, the black cat doesn't have any meaning at all.
Now, what is the significance, or where does the ritual come from on Halloween in dressing up?
Okay, what that connotation is that you're celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
You're dressing up and you're putting on an outfit. It might be, a representation of something, an animal, a character that you want to portray, but you're dressing up and you're putting on an outfit to welcome the ability from Halloween to November 2nd to meet and greet your soul spirits from the other side. So it's almost like everyone's saying, look at me, I'm at a party, I'm celebrating. So it is a symbol of a celebration of the afterlife and them coming back to reconnect with you.
Is there a connection between Halloween and Indian summer?
That's a very good question, because I believe there is. The fall solstice comes right around September 22nd, and we're entering another, pattern of the solar system. So I'm going to say we're entering our harvest time. You've put all your crops out, you've planted, you've done everything to make them grow. So you're celebrating whatever has come through, also literally with what you're growing, but also figuratively with your life's achievement. And the fall means that you're falling into a new vibration, and you're going to be able to maybe glean some success from your efforts. So I take it to be not just the earth gleaning the harvest, but also human beings and people gleaning success from school, their work, and their daily lives.
According to our researcher here, Halloween is the second highest grossing commercial holiday after Christmas. It's a lot of money. I'm sure the American and Canadian dental societies have a stake in the candy outfits for that. And
I think you're right. And I think the other thing is because there's so many children, little ones. So it's a really exciting time for mothers and fathers and families. And I'm going to say, in Swedish people's culture, my family's from Sweden, when you give anybody candy, you're giving them some sweetness. And when I go to do an event, if I go to a private event or a public event that I'm doing, I always bring a small box of candy, because what that means is I'm giving the host or the hostess a little bit of sweetness to carry with them throughout the year. So I'm going to say I think the candy part of it is motivated to give the children something sweet and something as a treat and something to look forward to. So it's kind of almost like you're wishing them the sweetness that life will bring to everyone. You want that for them. It's a very positive vibration.
Yeah. And once again, I don't think there are many people besides those who are into the Halloween season like yourself, and who deal in the same vein as those who participate in Halloween year-round, would really understand and know that, Ireland was just not St. Patrick's Day, but Ireland was actually the birthplace of Halloween. I just find that astounding.
Well, it's part of it.
Yeah.
The Celtic part, the Druid part, and the Roman part. So there were three different cultures that all felt that this weekend, this Halloween time, the solstice time, was imperative to be able to make the connection to the other side. And then also in Mexico, the Day of the Dead. So it seems to be almost a universal concept that this weekend would open up the ability to make the connection to those that we want to have some kind of connection with. There's a lot of seances that happen. There's a lot of, celebration with mediums, do spiritual things. So I'm going to say almost as like the whole world is celebrating together, that this time of the year we can really make a spiritual connection. And that's what this is. It's a celebration of our lives and the ones who went before us.
One of the most astounding statistics that I've ever found when doing research for Halloween is that children are more than twice likely to be killed in a pedestrian car accident on Halloween than any other night of the year.
Yeah, I can understand that because, they're out, they're about, they're not really thinking, because they're little, they're not really thinking about safety.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that I think what I've noticed in my cadre of friends is that many people will have a Halloween party and invite the neighborhood kids over. Or if they do go out, they go to just a couple of places and they have reflective gear on.
Yeah.
And, we have to be cognizant of little ones out there. I think having a party, doing something with the YMCA or any kind of children's group, I think it's safety in numbers, and I think I would prefer to have my child going to something that was supervised rather than out and about, because you're right, the safety issue is tantamount to what's going on Halloween night. You don't want anybody to get hurt, not at all.
All right, stand by, LINNEA. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation, LINNEA Starr is our special guest, www.linneastar.com. And this is the X-Zone. Check us out online at www.xzoneradiotv.com. And if you'd like to watch the first year's episodes of the X-Zone TV show, with our compliments at www.xzonetv.com. LINNEA Starr and I will be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone talking about Halloween.
As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X-Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, an author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Welcome back, everyone. LINNEA Starr is my special guest of this hour. We're talking about Halloween, one of my favorite times of the year. In fact, I'll share a little story with you in the X-Zone Nation, LINNEA. A couple of years ago, my wife and I decided that we would dress up and greet the children at the door. Now, my wife dressed up as a nun, and I made the biggest mistake in the world by dressing up as Santa Claus. Well, I thought it was really funny at the time. You know, you'd answer the door and dressed up as Santa Claus. The kids would just kind of drop their jaw, eyes would go open, and it was Santa Claus, right? You know, Santa Claus giving out candy. Yeah. Except that year, I was finding letters to Santa Claus on our front step.
my gosh, I love it. That's so cute.
And some of them were just so
That's
hard.
adorable.
Yeah, so I decided that from then on I would not do Santa Claus on Halloween because, number one, it really, it's the kids' holiday. Anyway, I thought it was a good joke, and the joke was finally on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
What do you?
My God, I love it.
How do you celebrate Halloween?
What I do is actually I'll be in New York this year. I'm going to be at a wonderful establishment called The Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Bleecker Street. It's a little kind of a bistro, and they have a lot of theatrical people there. And I'm going to be doing crystal ball readings and tarot readings. So I'm excited, and I work a lot with crystals. And with what I'm doing, you hold the crystal and take a picture of it on a cell phone, your cell phone, and you see the images that I see.
Wow.
And we call it mystical crystals. And it's kind of cool. What I'll do is under separate cover, I'll send you some of the pictures, and you can see for yourself. But the thing is, I don't want it to be on my cell phone. I don't want anyone to think I have an app on there that does it.
But that is so
I'm
cool.
having a lot of fun. Isn't it cool? It's a lot of fun. And crystals have been used for divination for centuries, as you know.
Yeah.
And they did it at the Oracle of Delphi in Greece. They did it in the Roman times. They did it in Egypt. And I was holding some crystals, and I could see things. And I started to take pictures, and the pictures are capture the rapture, and the pictures remain. And I'm finding a lot of clients are really fascinated with that. So it's called Mystical Crystals on the LINNEA Star website. So I'll send you under separate cover. I'll send you some of the pictures. And I wanted to share a story on Halloween. A couple of years ago, I worked with an agency, and I wore a veil that was beyond the veil. And she asked me to go down to the bank to change some cash, so I did. She needed change. I walked into the bank with the veil over my face, and all of the tellers went, "Oh, my God." And I went, "Oh, my God, it's not a holdup." I lifted the veil up because, they were thinking it was a robbery. And I said, no. I'm working down the street at a psychic center. And the manager came out. Everybody laughed. But, I didn't even think. I just walked in with this black veil over my hat. And the manager was like, you gave us a little bit of I said, "I'm so sorry." And it was not deliberate, like your Santa wasn't deliberate. But from now on, when I wear a veil, I have to remember to take it off so I won't scare anybody.
I think what we should also do at this time, since we're talking about Halloween, is remind pet owners that Halloween is actually a traumatic time for animals because you're getting all these different people coming to your front door, knocking on your door. So my suggestion as someone who worked very close with the SPCA is put your animals, your dog, your cats, in a different room where they can't get out. It'll be less stressful for them. And whatever you do, X-Zone Nation, please do not feed chocolates or candy to your pets. It can be, it's deadly. It's deadly to them. That's right. So, and once again, if you're thinking of adopting an animal, think as if you're bringing another member into your family, because that's exactly what you're doing. Make sure you can afford the veterinary care, the grooming care, the proper food, that you will make sure that the new member of your family gets the exercise, isn't left alone. There are so many things to consider. So whether it's a dog, whether it's a cat, a bunny, a guinea pig, a white mouse, a fish, please use a lot of judgment when bringing a four-legged member or compassionate person, into your home, please. Wow, we've covered quite...
and the thing is that what a lot of people, just a quick note, a lot of people want to reach their pets, and I have to say that the pet lover that reaches his pet or her pet on the other side, it's one of the most awesome experiences because these little fur babies really grow within your heart. They really do. And they have souls. They go to God, too. So that's a very rewarding aspect of this.
We have 3 little girls. The first one, Maddie, she's been with us for 10 years. Then we have Nikita. Nice. Nikita's been with us for 7 years. And then the baby in the family is Maddie. And Maddie's been with us, Lola. That's right. Lola's the youngest one, and she's been with us for 4 years. And they are just like our children. Now, as you know, we've had 6 children. We've got 9 grandchildren. But yet these little fuzzy creatures, they just worm, they just get right into your heart, and they're so individual. And you know what? It hurts me to think that there are people out there who will go out of their way to be mean to animals. I also feel the same way about people who are mean to people. But I don't know.
Right.
People who are mean to animals, man.
Animals love us unconditionally.
Yep. That's
Animals are there for us at 24/7, and we, when we love animals, really give a voice to them because they need that. Animals need to be protected. Animals need to be in homes where they're loved. And I have to say, too, that the more you love your animal, the longer they're going to stay with you because you're giving them the vibration for a long life.
You know, you mentioned vibration,
A long life.
and I think that when we look back to the 60s, that the hippies, who a lot of members of society thought they were way out to lunch, have been proven right over time. You know, make love, not war, good vibrations, and you know, the cliches go on and on and on. They had the right idea, in my opinion. They were the dawning of the new age.
Right, and the thing is, if you are good to animals, they will be good to you. And, you know, God created everybody, and God created animals, and they should be in a loving home. They should be in a family situation where they're welcomed and they're wanted. And when you see that, it's a perfect fit for the owner and for the pet. And I think you've noticed they take animals into nursing homes.
Yes.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And yes, and when these people see these animals, they brighten up, they get happy, and they're healing watching these beautiful little animals bring out the best in them. So I agree, it has to be a perfect fit, or the person shouldn't try to get a pet because it's not going to work out if they don't do it the right way.
There is a hospital in Hamilton on a certain floor that when someone is going to pass over, a black dog is seen in the hallways. And
okay, I believe that.
And what I believe this is a dog that has come to help the person guide them to the other side. Yeah.
Right, I think so too. And the thing is that animals sometimes know things that we don't know.
Big time.
They've got a sixth sense, and I think if you remember, several years ago there was a tsunami over in Thailand on the coast. And they noticed a few days before that horrific event, all the animals were seeking higher land. Cows, dogs, chickens, all of them were leaving the beach area and going up into higher territory. Well, then when the horrible floods came, everyone said that is why the animals were taking off. They had a vibration that something's happening, and we couldn't understand the communication. Animals really give us a lot of nonverbal communication if we're open to it.
Well, with one of our girls, it's funny because I've got somebody who works here in the office whose name is Nikita, and then I've got our Nikita the dog. Nikita has, when she looks at you, you know, you can just feel her going right into your very soul.
Yeah, she's an old soul, and she's making the connection.
Oh, it's just something my wife and I can't get over, and I love
had
animals.
A family that I love animals too, and I had a family recently that I saw a heart transplant, and I said, your brother is telling me that you donated his heart, and they actually did. The man was in an accident, and I said, you're going to meet the recipient. And a year later, I went to their house, I came in, and I said, you met him. His name is Ray, and that was the man's name. Well, they took him on a beach walk near the home, and this big sheepdog was running on the causeway, and the recipient of the heart said, oh my God, I love that dog, I love the dog. And the dog ran over to him and knew him. And what the hostess said to the recipient, she said, that was my brother's dog. We gave the dog to a neighbor. The dog knew. The dog knew somehow there was a connection to the man who had passed away. And it was such an unbelievable moment because everybody stood there, and here's the dog reacting. And the donor, the recipient says, I have a connection to him. Well, you did, because it was the gentleman that you had his heart. That was his dog. And that's called genetic memory. When you receive a donation of an organ from someone who's so unselfish, you start to develop the memories and the emotions of the person that you have the organ for. It's really an unbelievable phenomenon. And maybe at some point we could do a show about that because it's fascinating.
I would love to do a show on that. But for tonight, you and I have to say so long, my friend, because we're at the end of our of our time together. Hey, listen, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a great pleasure talking to you. And from me to you, happy Halloween.
You too, and all the best and to your beautiful family and your little furry babies.
All right. Take care of yourself, Linnea. Bye-bye, sweetie.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Exonation, Linnea Starr has been our guest this hour. www.linneastarr.com. What a lady. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send an email, studio@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our main website where you have radio and TV information, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I am Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this break, not the other side of the veil. After this break, don't go away.